Hello folks. I hope this video finds everybody out there doing well. Hope everybody had a good week. The last trail that Lisa and I rode and posted was a pretty interesting trail for the both of us. As you could tell, at the end we were both just Raggedy Ann type. I mean, we had to stand by the truck and drink some water, sit down for a while before we could even lift the bikes up into the truck. We were so beat. It was just super hot and humid that day and really drained us. But I'm out here by myself today. Lisa's back at the house. She's fine, but she's with our daughter. They're kind of practicing for my daughter's volleyball tryouts at school. They're hitting the ball around a little bit, and it's been about a week since I was able to get back out on the bike, so I wanted to get out and get a little ride in. Thought I'd bring everybody along with me. This video's not so much about the bike trail that I'm riding, more about riding bikes in general, riding e-bikes in general. You know, I've had a lot of comments. I've got a lot of new subscribers recently, and they've all had some questions. I thought I'd take this opportunity to address some of those. I've had some comments, you know, asking how we like the electric bike, my thoughts on it, as well as Lisa's thoughts on it. I was hoping that we could get Lisa out to ride today with me so she could give her point of view. But I tell you, unlike the West Coast, we've been having rainstorms, pop-up rainstorms, showers every 2 or 3 minutes, and it's just been hard to get away from the house. Taken a quick ride around the block a few times, but that's about it. We had our one of our sons came in from California. I told you about that in the last video. Came in last Friday, and he was here with us for a week. Came in for a family wedding, and so we wanted to spend a good bit of time with him while he was here, as well as some other things we were taking care of, so we didn't get to get out. But until we can get out and get to our next trail ride with both myself and Lisa, I just kind of wanted to make this video and just have a little bit of a talk. But getting back to the main part of the video, had a lot of questions about, you know, how we like these electric bikes. You know, I have an electric bike. My wife has one as well. We love them for what we bought them for. But then I have other people that comment and they're like, well, you know, this bike will tear that bike up, this bike will outdo that bike, so on and so on. And maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. What it comes down to is I'm glad they found one that they like, and that's about it. I think whatever bike works fine for you is the best bike you can have. So that's kind of where I'll leave that. I can tell you that this bike, having a 500 watt motor, 750 watt peak. I'm a 300-pound guy, so this thing will take me up all these West Virginia hills. It will carry me 20, 25, maybe even 30 miles if I'm on a paved trail like this one. And at my weight and size, I really don't need anything more powerful than this. It does the job, and it's under $1,000. You know, a lot of those other bikes are $1,200, $1,400, $1,500, you know, out of the box. And a lot of times, you know, they may not come with fenders or, you know, certain things, maybe even lights that this bike comes with, but it's a really good starter bike. And it's more than that. It's more than a starter bike. For me, like I said, it's all that I need. I've got 360 miles on it. I got it right before wintertime last year, so I had under 100 miles on it before 2021. And since then, you know, I've put, I don't know, 250 miles or so on it in the last 2 or 3 months. And that's getting out, taking longer rides, you know, once or twice a week. 20 miles a ride or so, 20, 25 miles, 15 miles. So, you know, it's got the fat tires. I know there's a lot of fat tire bikes out there. But this, you know, this bike really works for me. And one of the reasons that I started making videos was to let people my size know. You know, if you're my size, but you don't want to spend a ton of money, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 getting a bike that'll support you, I just wanted to let everybody know that, shoot, you know, here's a 300-pound guy, 6 foot tall, and man, this bike has done so far everything I've wanted. A lot of you have seen most of my videos. Some of you haven't. If you haven't, go back and watch. I've had this bike on just about any kind of trail you can think of. Paved trails like I'm on right now. I've had it on dirt trails, gravel, crushed stone, you know, bigger gravel, grass. I've ridden it over on my last video, basically railroad tie bridges that was so bumpy it was crazy. And this is the 1.0. The new electric bikes have the front shocks, so it would be, you know, even better over stuff like that. Of course, I could put suspension shocks on this bike myself if I wanted to, and it would be basically the 2.0, except for a few other little tiny details. So what it comes down to is I'm an e-bike proponent. I don't care if you get the electric, you know, I don't care if you get a Saunders, I don't care if you get if you go step it up and get a Super 73 or a Onyx or a Suron or some of these that can go 40, 50 miles an hour. You know, this bike unlocked can go 28 to 30 miles an hour. At 300 pounds on a flat road, I was able to get 28 miles an hour on this thing, which I will probably never use. I mean, 20 is fast enough on a bike for me. Brings me to my next point. Why did I get this bike? Well, I was in out of shape, had become 300 pounds during the COVID quarantine. You know, my office shut down. We started work from home. Pretty soon, I will have been working from home for nearly 2 years. And to never leave the house and, you know, having to quarantine, stay away from where people would be, you know, I just gained weight. I've got the certain type of body that, you know, I can eat a slice of bread You know, I can smell sweets and I gain weight. You know, it's been hard for me to keep from gaining weight my whole life. Now, when I was younger, you know, I played a lot of basketball, played a lot of tennis. I even jogged, believe it or not. So even at my fittest weight, I was about 235, anywhere from 230 to 240. And, you know, I could keep up jogging with just about anybody at that size. But, you know, I just happened to come across some people riding an electric bike on YouTube about a year ago. Started watching those, and I thought, man, you know, at my size, a lot of these bikes with the little thin tires, they practically mash flat when I get on them. And to have a big tire bike, it would be a lot more sturdy for me. I feel like those tires would support me better. I also, over the years, you know, all of my activity and athletic type stuff that I've done, you know, kind of got bad knees. So if I were to ride a regular bike for more than a mile or two, or walk around the block, you know, a mile or so, my knee would just start hurting, and get back to the house, it'd swell up. And I thought, you know, an e-bike would be perfect for me if I could find one that would be good for my size, good for my age. For those of you that don't know, I'm in my 50s. My wife is too. You know, we're not young bucks anymore. You know, we're not youngins anymore. We've got the aches and pains when we get out of bed in the morning and all of that. And I thought that having an electric bike, I could risk riding for more than a mile or two and have no worries about getting back to the house. That was my first thought. My other thought was, need big tires, need a big frame bike to support my weight. Well, I started looking on the internet, and everybody I saw doing bike rides, doing bike reviews, this, that, and the other, you know, were sub 200, maybe 200 pounds. And I'm like, well, you know, based on those, I still don't know if they'd be good for a person as big as me. So I just kind of started looking at the e-bikes a little bit closer. And I first started looking at a rad bike. It's about $1,500. Thought it might work for me. Probably would. It'd probably be a great bike. But then I thought, you know, I don't want to just get out and ride by myself all the time. If I have an electric bike, even if my wife had a regular bike, or my daughter wanted to ride, or a son, one of our sons, they'd be on a regular bike, and they just wouldn't be able to keep up with me for the long haul. So then I started thinking, well, if I get the rad bike, that'd be $3,000 or more for two. And I kept looking, and I saw something, you know. Then I came across Lectric, and it was very similar to the rad and some of these other bikes, but it was only $8.99. So I could get two basically for the price of one rad. So I thought, well, that's the ticket. So I just kind of used faith and bought two before we ever tried any out, hoping that it would work for me and Lisa. And it turned out it did, much to my surprise. I didn't have a lot of faith in the battery-powered stuff. You know, whenever I grew up, battery-powered stuff were for little kids. You know, they had their little battery-powered trucks and things they could ride in. I just didn't think it was possible to have anything that would run by batteries that would take me anywhere I wanted to go. But I went ahead and tried it after watching some other reviews and thought, well, if nothing else, I can take, easy trails like this one, and it might help me out enough that I need. So I did, and when they came, I was very, very, and I stress very, surprised at the power that these things have and the longevity of the battery. I just can't say enough about it. So whenever I first started riding it, I rode that trail that I was just on with the pavement. Couldn't be more happy with it. Got off onto crushed stone like this trail. Again, couldn't be more happy with it. I decided I needed to start making videos for bigger folks like me, just to let them know how these bikes handle, how good they are. And every trail that I go on, I try to have some sort of a different challenge, whether it's gravel, mud, whatever it is, whether it's hilly. I've done some videos on climbing some pretty steep hills that it's gotten me up. Just trying to let people know that, if it will carry me and do these things for me at my size, if you're half my size, if you're 200 pounds, a little bit more, or quite a bit under, it would do even better for you guys. But most of all, to let bigger people that don't think having a bike would work out for them, to let them know, yes, it is. It's great for you. Get one. Whatever you do, just make sure it's at least a 500 watt motor, and have at it. So, that was my first thing, just getting a bike so I can get out. And then I started understanding what bike riding was all about. And it was through my own experiences. It was through talking to other people that ride, Saddle Tramp, Pedro, 56 Crown Vic, a lot of people, Extreme Fight, Michael Milan, a bunch of people. I'm terrible with names. I call my kids the wrong name sometime, but if I didn't mention you and you comment a lot, I know who you are. But talking to everybody is just, it's been uplifting. It's kind of let me know what getting out on a bike is really all about. There's a lot of benefits to getting out on a bike. You can go to a gym, you can lift weights, you can ride the stationary bike, but the whole time you're counting down the minutes. I've got another 15 minutes. I need to ride this stationary bike staring at a wall or whatever, a TV screen. Well, you don't have to do that on these e-bikes. You can pedal with no assist whatsoever until you get tired. Then you can kick the motor on and use motor power if you want, until you rest up, and then you can go back again. So it's a lot. Exercising on a bike, an e-bike, is so much different than exercising on a stationary bike in some gym or some basement or some garage somewhere. It makes the time fly by. You're seeing all this beautiful scenery. I just can't say enough about that. The other thing is, it gets you out in the sun. Everybody knows, I think, that vitamin D you get from sunlight. Vitamin D does a lot of good for your body. It absorbs calcium It decreases your chance or your severity of osteoporosis. There's a lot of physical benefits from vitamin D that you source directly from the sun while you're out biking and exercising. Another thing being out in nature on a bike does for you, all of these plants that you see give off certain chemicals. Those chemicals help build your immunity. And I'm not just telling you this off the cuff. There's actual studies out there that prove it. That the chemicals given off from plants around you out in nature actually enhances your immune system. So this day and age in COVID, when everybody's getting sick, people are wondering, should I get the vaccine or not? Get out on your bike and ride. It's a very good source to help you boost your immunity. Just being out here, breathing in all this clean, fresh air, all of the life-giving chemicals that plants and flowers give off. It's also a stress reliever. For those of you working at home, you might get mental blocks or something. Go out, hop on your bike for a little bit, ride in nature. You know, it just might tickle your creativity bone and help you focus on whatever you're trying to accomplish. Just so many things. I wrote down a whole list of all these things that I read about, and there's just so many other benefits just besides getting out and pedaling your bike up and down. It's also a spiritual type thing. It's when you're out here by yourself. I love being out here with my wife, you know, talking, having fun together. But even more so when you're out by yourself like this, nothing around but you and nature, and the sound of the wheels on the crushed stone of the trail that you're riding on or whatever. You kind of become one with nature. It's just a big stress reliever. It calms you down. Just so many benefits to riding a bike. And then if you have an e-bike, and again, I don't care what brand you have, it just makes it so much more enjoyable. This bike almost calls me and makes me feel like I really, really want to get out and get on it and get going. Before, with a regular bike, I dreaded getting out on that bike. So, you know, those are the things I kind of wanted to talk about. You know, some of the comments were, you know, what do we think about the electric? Well, I think during this talk that kind of tells you my thoughts about it. To me, it's perfect in every way. I really couldn't ask for anything else. This is exactly, you know, this is all that I need. And my wife will tell you the same thing. I told you before that, you know, we're in our 50s, so yeah, we're getting a little bit older. Probably still considered young to some of the folks that watch these videos. But we're getting older. I can feel it. I can feel it coming. But I'm trying to push it back as far as I can, push it away from me by getting out and doing this. You know, building up my stamina, my legs, you know, everything. All the muscles in your body kind of work when you're riding a bike. And it's easy on your joints. There's no pounding on your knees, your ankles, your hips, your back, unless you're on a real bumpy one. Then I would suggest a Zoom seat post, which is in the description of this video if you want to click on it and check those things out. But my wife would say very much the same thing. You know, she's in her 50s. She just had a hip replacement, and at 5 weeks out from the surgery, after her surgery, she was out here on a bike with me to get back to take her first ride since she couldn't since she couldn't do much before her surgery. And she's been burning me ever since on these things. She's a lot lighter than I am, so she's able to get going a little bit quicker than me, but I catch up with her. But yeah, she would say exactly the same thing. She loves it. My 11-year-old daughter, she rode my wife's step through, and she loved it. So we're considering getting her one as well. But I would just want to make sure that she'll get out and ride it, and it won't be parked in the garage, because it's a little bit too expensive to buy and just have it sit there or something to look at. So we're kind of waiting to make sure that she'll get out and come with us. So yeah, rest assured, as soon as this weather clears up and we get a few days, I mean, we've got a chance of rain pretty much every day all the way through next weekend into next Monday, last time I looked. But it's mostly pop-up showers. You know, whenever we see we can get a few hours of non-raining time, we'll get out in the truck and go get another new trail to ride. I just today had a comment on the last video that we made where I said it was about the toughest trail we had ridden up to that point, and he said it looked more like a mountain bike trail, and Lectric probably couldn't handle it. Well, it may have been more of a mountain bike trail, but like I think I said it in that video, I'm not sure, but if I didn't, I'll just say that I didn't think the top part of that trail, the first part where close to the tunnel, was even finished. On my trail app, it showed that it wasn't finished yet, but then Lisa saw something where it looked like maybe it was open. So we actually rode most of that real rough stuff. Is the part that my trail app said was actually closed. But they are working on it. I think there was one bridge there where they were starting to put the deck across those railroad ties. So I look for, probably by next spring, they'll probably have it in much better shape than what it was the day that we rode on it. But I kind of welcomed that trail, just to show you that you can take these electric bikes on trails like that, and it'll make it. These things will handle a lot more than what you think they will. They're very sturdy. The only problem is, I've got the 1.0, so there's very little, basically no suspension, except for the seat post and the new Cloud 9 seat, which is in the description as well. But yeah, these things will handle pretty much anything that you can throw at it. Now, if it's a trail that's meant for motorcycles or four-wheelers or strictly mountain bikes, I would not go on it with this. I would go back to the house and get my ATV if I was going to ride some trails like that. But yeah, we've done so much riding on such an array of trails and terrain that I think everybody should be rest assured. If they're thinking about getting an electric bike, I wouldn't think twice about it, especially if you're on a budget of some sort. There's no need to get a $2,000 bike unless you're doing some serious off-roading with it or something like that. If you're doing riding on roads or trails similar to this, man, this bike is all you need. And if you're lighter than me, you can probably get 30 to 40 miles out of a battery if you ride pedal assist 1 or 2. That trail that we did last, we rode the whole thing in pedal assist 2, but it was pretty rough terrain, grass, gravel, thick gravel. We sunk down in it, dirt, got a little wet on us, crazy bridges, and all of that. And you know, this thing got right through it. You know, me being tired at the end had nothing to do with the bike. It had all to do with me. So if I was in a little bit better shape, you know, it probably wouldn't have been anything to finish and ready to dance a jig at the end. I just wanted to make sure we had enough battery to get back. Turns out we did. So just doing that trail alone shows me that I should have no problem getting 25 to 30 miles going pedal assist 2 on a trail or a road that's paved, especially. Yeah, see what I mean? Here I am, old man, big old man, passing up young regular bicyclists, going up an incline. Kind of shows you what you can do with these things. It looks kind of eerie, doesn't it? Fog inside that bridge. I mean the tunnel. Pretty eerie. Like I said, it's been raining a lot and it's hot, so stuff's evaporating. So guys, this is about the end of the trail. I appreciate you hanging around and listening to me ramble. But Lisa and I'll be back out here again soon, riding a new trail, doing our regular thing, and we'll get back out here and do it. So again, I appreciate everybody that watches these videos, that subscribes to the videos or to the channel. It just reinforces to me that you know, what we're doing is people are enjoying and helping some people out and all that good stuff. So until next time, I appreciate you watching. Have a great day. God bless, and we'll see you on the next video.